Ever feel like parenting's this big choose-your-own-adventure game, but like someone tossed the instructions, especially when it comes to raising kids?
It's a lot, right?
It is. But good news, you're in the right place.
Yes.
We're going deep on this. We're diving into raising emotionally healthy children in today's society.
By Maria Reis.
Exactly. Think of this deep dive like sneaking a peek at the expert's answer sheet.
Voting, am I right? This book is like this treasure chest of practical advice.
Okay.
We're going to unpack the most useful stuff.
Music to my ears. So this journey, it kind of starts with understanding something that maybe we don't always realize, like how much it influences how we parent.
Oh, totally.
Our own ingrained parenting styles, those knee-jerk reactions we have to a meltdown or a messy room.
Oh, 100%. It's like we're on autopilot sometimes. But here's the cool part. Once we get those default modes, we can hit the override button.
Love it.
Maria Reis breaks down these 4 main parenting styles.
Okay.
And you might see yourself in some of these.
Okay, hit me. What are they?
Okay. First up, the authoritative parent.
Okay.
This is the one that, like, a lot of experts are like, this is the gold standard.
Right.
It's like that sweet spot, right? You're setting firm boundaries, but you're also warm and responsive to what your kid needs. So think of it like a democracy, but in your family. The parents, they're the ultimate decision makers, right? But they're open to hearing what their kids think.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Kids need structure, but they need to feel heard and understood. Okay, so what about the other styles?
Okay. On the other side, you've got the authoritarian parent. Now, these parents, big on rules, big on obedience, think my way or the highway, and they usually mean well.
Yeah.
But sometimes this approach, it can lead to kids who they might struggle with anxiety or low self-esteem because they haven't had the space to develop their own voice.
It's that whole because I said so approach, which I can see how that would stifle a kid's sense of independence. Okay, what's next?
Okay, so next up, you've got the permissive parent. These are the parents who are more like friends than authority figures. They're super lenient, often avoiding conflict like it's the plague, which it sounds fun for the kids short term.
Yeah.
But it can lead to some challenges.
Down the road.
Yes, exactly. When it comes to things like self-discipline, respecting boundaries, taking responsibility.
It's all fun and games until they're teenagers. Okay, so that's 3. What's the last one?
Last but not least, the uninvolved parent.
Okay.
This one's characterized by lack of involvement. They're often emotionally detached, hands-off when it comes to their kids' lives. And unfortunately, this can have the most detrimental impact on kids. They end up feeling neglected and insecure.
Wow, that's a lot to process.
Yeah.
But it's clear that each style, it has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
But knowing where we naturally fall on this spectrum, that's a game changer, don't you think?
100%. And that is the beauty of this book, right? It's not about judging yourself, for whatever your parenting style is. It's about having those aha moments, those light bulb moments, so you can make conscious choices that line up with the kind of parent you want to be.
I love that.
I love that.
Okay, so we've got like a handle on those autopilot parenting styles.
Yes.
Now, how do we actually raise emotionally intelligent, like mini humans? Is there a secret formula?
Wouldn't that be nice? Here's the magic formula.
Yeah.
But the good news is emotional intelligence, it's something we can actually nurture and cultivate in our kids.
Okay.
It's like giving them this toolkit for navigating all of the ups and downs of life. And Maria Reis, she offers some really practical strategies in the book for doing just that.
Okay, so give me the good stuff. What's in this emotional toolkit that we're building?
Okay. So one of the foundational tools is emotional vocabulary.
Okay.
You know how often you'll ask a kid how they're feeling and they're just like, I don't know.
Totally.
We have to help them go beyond happy, sad, mad,
Right.
and really put words to these like more nuanced emotions that they're experiencing.
Totally. It's like they have this whole orchestra of emotions playing inside.
Yes.
But they don't even know the names of the instruments, let alone how to play them.
That's a really good way to put it. And if we can teach them to identify and express those feelings, it's like we're handing them the conductor's baton. They get that sense of control.
Right.
They're less likely to have a meltdown or act out when they can actually use their words.
Articulate what's going on inside.
Totally.
What are some ways that parents can help their kids expand that emotional vocabulary?
So, one of my favorite techniques from the book is called the feelings landscape. And it's this great way to make emotions a little more concrete, especially for younger kids who are still very visual. Basically, you create a landscape together, and it can be a drawing, a collage. You could even use toys.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So how does this work?
Okay, so let's say you draw a mountain, a valley, a sunny meadow, and like a dark cave. And then you start talking about different emotions and where they might live on this landscape. So maybe anger feels like the erupting volcano, while sadness is a quiet puddle in the cave.
I love that it's like a map of their inner world.
Exactly.
And it just opens up all these opportunities for these conversations about feelings,
Yes.
but in a way that feels really safe and playful.
Exactly. And then as they get older, you can even get more nuanced with the vocabulary. So we're not just talking about basic emotions anymore. We're talking about things like frustration, disappointment, nervousness, excitement.
Like they're leveling up their emotional literacy skills.
Exactly. And the
Yeah.
key here is validation. When our kids express those feelings, even the messy ones, it's so important that we validate them.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean we have to agree with their perspective or that we condone bad behavior, but it does mean that we acknowledge their feelings as real and valid.
So instead of saying, don't be sad, we might say something like, it sounds like you're feeling really disappointed right now.
Yes.
It's okay to feel your feelings.
Yes. And when kids feel heard and understood, they're much more likely to open up to us, to trust us, to come to us when they're struggling.
Because they know we're a safe space.
Exactly.
So we're teaching them to identify and express their emotions. What else can we do to build that emotional intelligence?
So just like we need healthy ways to release physical energy, we also need healthy outlets for emotional expression. And Maria Reis, she talks about the power of creative outlets,
Yeah.
like art, music, journaling, even just free play.
It's so true. Sometimes when my kids are having a tough day, I can just tell they need to move their bodies or get lost in their imaginations for a while. It's like hitting the reset button on their emotions.
Yes, exactly. And not only do these outlets provide that emotional release,
Yeah.
but they can also help kids develop self-awareness, coping skills, even problem-solving abilities. It's like they're building resilience without even realizing it.
I love that. And it reminds me of something else that Maria Reis talks about in the book, the importance of praise and encouragement.
Yes.
Now, this might seem obvious,
Right.
but she really dives into the nuances of effective praise.
Because there's an art to it. It's not just about showering your kids with compliments.
Right.
It's about being specific, sincere, and focusing on effort over outcome.
Okay. So instead of saying, you're such a good artist, we might say something like, wow, you use so many different colors in this picture. I love how you blended those shades of blue in the sky.
Yes,
Just
exactly.
to-
That kind of specific praise, it tells them that we're really paying attention to their effort, to their creativity.
Right.
And it helps them internalize those qualities, which then builds their confidence and motivation to keep learning and growing.
It's like we're watering the seeds of their potential.
I love that. It's great.
Okay. Speaking of growth, let's talk about something that's inevitable in every family, conflict. Conflict, it's like that dish you always forget to soak. Like the longer you leave it, the harder it is to clean up.
Yes, that is such a good analogy. But yeah, conflict, it's something you can't really avoid, especially in families. But the good news is it doesn't have to be a battle.
Okay, tell me more.
Maria Reis, she really frames conflict as an opportunity for growth in the book. It's this crash course
Right.
in communication, in problem solving, in compromise,
Right.
all those like essential life skills that we want our kids to have.
Totally. So how do we turn like a clash into a learning experience?
Right.
Because let's be real, like when everyone's emotions are running high, it's hard to see conflict as anything other than something to be dreaded.
Oh, 100%. But here's the thing. We can actually teach our kids how to navigate disagreements constructively.
Okay.
And it starts with us,
The parents.
the parents.
Yes. Got to walk the talk, right?
Yes, because kids are like these little emotional sponges, right?
Yeah.
They are soaking up everything they see and hear. If we are constantly yelling or giving each other the silent treatment, what are we teaching them?
Not exactly the conflict resolution skills we're hoping for.
Exactly. But if they see us approaching disagreements with respect, empathy, a willingness to listen,
Yeah.
that's a game changer. It's about modeling healthy communication, even when it's tough.
I'm all for modeling healthy communication, but what about in the heat of the moment? What are some practical tools
Yes.
we can use, like when things get heated?
Yes. The book talks about this really helpful method called the ABC method for resolving conflict.
Okay. I love a good acronym. Break it down.
Okay. A stands for acknowledge feelings.
Okay.
This means taking a moment to really listen to what your child is saying
Okay.
and reflect back their emotions.
Okay.
You might say something like, I hear that you're feeling frustrated because...
So it's about validating their feelings,
Uh,
even if we don't necessarily agree with their perspective.
Exactly. And once they feel heard, you can move on to B, which is bridge perspectives.
Okay.
This step is all about helping them see the situation from the other person's point of view. You might say, how do you think your brother feels when you...
It's about fostering empathy and understanding.
Yes.
Even in the midst of a disagreement.
Exactly. And then finally, you move on to C, which is compromise on solutions.
Okay.
This is where you work together to find a resolution that addresses everyone's needs and concerns.
Okay.
It might involve brainstorming together, coming up with different options, finding something that feels fair to everyone.
It's like turning conflict into a team-building exercise.
Yes, I love that. And here's the bonus round.
Okay.
As we guide our kids through these conflicts,
Right.
we're also teaching them these valuable skills.
Yeah.
For navigating relationships, advocating for themselves, finding those win solutions,
Yes.
which, guess what? Those are skills that they're going to need
Throughout their life.
throughout their lives.
It's like we're giving them like a superpower for life.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. We've covered so much ground.
We have.
From decoding our parenting styles to building emotional toolkits,
Yes,
mastering the art of conflict resolution.
we did it.
But there's one more biggie we have to address. The digital age.
Oh, yes. The ever-present digital landscape. It's a whole other parenting frontier, isn't it?
It really is. It's like we're navigating uncharted territory,
Yes.
and the rules are constantly changing. So how do we raise emotionally healthy kids
Right.
in a world that is increasingly dominated by screens and technology?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And I'll be honest, there's no easy answer. But Maria Reis, again, she offers some really practical advice in this book for setting healthy boundaries and fostering a balanced relationship with technology. Because here's the deal. It's not about demonizing technology. It's about integrating it into our lives
Yes.
in a way that's healthy and constructive.
So where do we even begin?
One of the most important things we can do is model the kind of digital habits we want to see in our kids.
Okay.
If we are constantly glued to our phones, we're checking social media every 5 seconds, we're letting screens dominate our free time,
Right.
what message does that send?
Do as I say, not as I do, which is not exactly the most effective strategy.
Do what I say, not what I do. But if they see us prioritizing face-to-face interactions,
Right.
setting aside dedicated screen-free time,
Yes.
engaging in activities that nourish our minds and bodies, that speaks volumes.
Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
I heard that somewhere before.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So leading by example is key. But what about setting boundaries?
Yes.
Because let's be real, kids these days are practically born with a smartphone in hand.
I know. It's like they come out holding a smartphone. That's why setting some clear and consistent boundaries around technology use is so important.
Okay.
This might look like having designated screen-free zones in the house,
Okay.
like the dinner table, bedrooms.
Okay.
It might mean setting time limits for certain apps or games.
Okay.
Or it could even involve having like a digital curfew
Right.
where all devices get turned off an hour or two before bedtime.
That makes sense. Like creating some structure
Yes.
and making sure that technology doesn't completely take over family life.
Exactly. And it's not just about setting those limits. It's also about being mindful of the content that they're consuming.
That's a really good point. Like we wouldn't let them just watch any movie or listen to any
Yeah.
music. We need to be just as discerning about the apps
Yes.
and games and websites that they're engaging with.
100%.
Okay. And speaking of being vigilant, how do we keep our kids safe online? Because it feels like there are so many risks.
There are definitely risks out there. But just like we teach our kids about stranger danger in the real world, we need to be having those age-appropriate conversations about online safety. We need to talk about things like cyberbullying.
Online predators. The importance of protecting their personal information.
It's about empowering them to be responsible digital citizens, right?
Exactly. And the good news is there are so many resources out there to help us navigate these conversations. Common Sense Media is a great one. They provide reviews and ratings for apps, games, websites, as well as tips for talking to kids about online safety.
That's super helpful. So modeling healthy digital habits, setting clear boundaries, and having open communication about online safety. Those are like some key pillars, it sounds like, for raising emotionally healthy kids
Yeah.
in the digital age. What else can we do to set them up for success?
One of the most important things is fostering their media literacy skills.
It's not enough to just tell them to be careful online. You need to teach them how to critically evaluate the information that they're consuming, help them understand that not everything they see online is true,
Right.
encourage them to question sources, look for bias, and seek out multiple perspectives.
It's about raising critical thinkers, even in the digital realm.
Precisely. And this is something we can start doing from a young age. When they're watching a show or playing a game, we can ask them questions.
Okay.
What do you think about that character's actions? Or do you think that advertisement is trying to sell you something?
That's a great way to get them thinking critically, even when they're just relaxing and having fun.
Exactly. And then as they get older, we can introduce them to concepts like online privacy,
Right.
digital footprints, responsible social media use. It's all about equipping them with the knowledge and skills they need to navigate the digital world safely and responsibly.
Right. It's like we're giving them a compass for navigating this digital landscape.
Yes, exactly.
This has been incredibly insightful as we wrap up our deep dive into raising emotionally healthy children in today's society.
Yes.
I'm feeling a renewed sense of hope
Good.
and maybe even a little bit of excitement for this parenting journey.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
And remember, parenting, it's a marathon, not a sprint. There are going to be ups and downs, triumphs and challenges. There's no one right way to do it.
That's right. No instruction manuals.
No instruction manual.
Just a whole lot of love, a
Yeah.
willingness to learn,
Yeah.
and maybe a few deep dives along the way.
Exactly. That's what we're here for. And the most important thing is to stay connected with our kids.
Yes.
Be present for the journey.
Yeah.
And remember, we're all in this together.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Right back at you.
Until next time, happy parenting, everyone.